I got the call at 3:47 a.m. I thought it was a mistake at Phi RST. Nobody calls at that time unless something is seriously wrong. When I saw my mom's name on the screen, my chest tightened. But wasn't her voice. It was a tired man speaking too calmly for the words coming out of his mouth. Car accident. We did everything we could. I was 19. A week away from my Phi NAL college exams. 2 weeks from moving out. Everything was planned. And then nothing. Their car had spun out on a rain-slicked highway near Pittsburgh. No survivors. No seatbelts. No second chances. I didn't cry that day. Not at the funeral either. It didn't feel real. Like someone had muted the whole world. I heard people talking, hugging, whispering their "I'm so sorry" yes, but all felt like a dream I wasn't part of. Everyone said, "You're not alone." But I was. Completely. 2 days later, my grandfather called. We hadn't spoken in years. He lived alone in a small wooden house near the woods in central Pennsylvania. The kind of place that never changes, where the curtains are always closed and the radio plays softly in another room. I remembered him from my childhood, quiet, stern, always smelling like old wood and black coffee. He didn't ask how I was. Just said, "Come stay a while. It's quiet here." I didn't know where else to go, so I packed a bag and went. The house greeted me with silence and something else. I couldn't place it at first. Maybe it was the absence of birds. Just the wind in the trees and the creaking of wood. My grandfather hugged me like he hadn't done it in years, awkward, brief. His face was scratched, like he'd been caught in barbed wire. "Fell in the shed," he said. "It's a mess. Don't go in there yet. Dangerous." At first it was peaceful. I slept past noon. Walked through the forest. Read dusty books. Ate his thick, cinnamon-laced oatmeal. The world felt paused, and maybe that's what I needed. But on the third night, I heard footsteps above my room. It started with creaking. Slow, steady, like someone pacing. Back and forth. Then a scratching sound, like nails dragging across wood. Long and deliberate. I lay frozen in bed, staring at the ceiling. Then a loud crack, like a board splitting. I waited until morning. When I checked the attic, it was empty. Just old furniture and boxes covered in dust. At breakfast, he didn't look up. "Didn't sleep well?" he asked, stirring his coffee. "Were you in the attic last night?" I asked. "Probably mice," he mumbled. "Old house. Always noises." But it wasn't mice. The next day, I found a handkerchief under my bed. Old, damp, with the initials LH stitched in faded thread. It smelled like mold and wet dirt. I showed it to him. "Forget it," he said quietly. "Old things show up sometimes." The fourth night, the power went out. I woke up at 3:13. My phone glitched, the flashlight flickered. Then, I heard breathing in the hallway. Heavy, uneven. I opened the door. Nothing. But the air felt freezing. On the FL wet footprints. Bare. Small. Almost childlike. I followed them downstairs. My grandfather was gone. The door to the shed was slightly open. I stepped outside barefoot. Followed the trail. The shed creaked when I pushed the door. It smelled of rust and damp earth. I turned on my phone light. In the corner stood a tall mirror, draped with a dusty cloth. When I touched it, the cloth felt warm. I pulled it off. In the REF election, I didn't see the shed. I saw a child's room. Yellow walls. Toys on the FL. A boy, maybe 5 years old, sitting cross-legged, staring at me. His eyes were empty. Then he stood up. In the reflection only. I stumbled back. The mirror cracked. I ran back to the house. My grandfather was sitting in the kitchen, eyes closed, whispering something under his breath. I asked him who the boy was. He didn't respond. Just said, "You should leave. Tomorrow." That night, I didn't sleep. The air felt thicker. Like the house was watching. At some point, I must have blacked out, because I woke up standing in the corner of my room, holding a knife from a kitchen. I didn't remember getting it. On the floor, written in dust, was the name Liam. My name. Something in me cracked after that. I couldn't tell what was real anymore. Every time I blinked, I saw movement in the mirrors. I heard my parents calling my name from the forest. I saw the boy in the windows, in REF elections, even in my own eyes. I tried to leave, but the road was blocked by fallen trees. No signal. No car. My grandfather had vanished. The doctor at the clinic told me it was a stress-induced psychotic episode. He said losing both parents so suddenly can trigger underlying vulnerabilities. He gave me medication, told me to rest. that I was safe now. But no one ever found my grandfather's house. The place I described? It doesn't exist on any map. Not in records. Nothing. Sometimes, I think maybe I imagined it all. But sometimes late at night, I still hear footsteps on my ceiling. And sometimes, I see the boy in the mirror. Story 2, they said I was dead for 2 minutes and 17 seconds. I don't remember the fall itself, just a flicker. The creak of old wood beneath my feet, a fell ash of pain, then darkness like I've never known. Not the kind you get when you close your eyes, but the kind that swallows sound and time and self. I woke up in a hospital bed, my head wrapped, my chest sore. Nurses came in, doctors spoke softly, and my mom held my hand like I was a child again. They kept saying how lucky I was. That most people don't come back from something like that. That I must have had a reason to live. But something stayed with me. It started that first night. I dreamt I was walking through the hallway of a hotel. The carpet was red and damp, like it had just rained inside. The wallpaper peeled in long strips, and the lights flickered overhead like they couldn't decide if they wanted to stay on or not. And then I'd see it, room 209. The brass numbers slightly crooked. The door just barely ajar. Always the same. Every night, the dream would start again. Different hallways, sometimes different sounds, but always the same door. The same number. And always the same feeling in my chest, like someone I loved was behind it. Or something I'd lost. I never opened it. I always woke up shaking, drenched in sweat, my heart trying to punch its way out of my ribs. For weeks, I told no one. What would I even say? But then came the moment I can't explain, not even now. I was on a bus heading to my neurologist, staring out the window, trying not to think about the dreams. And I saw it. A building, cracked stucco walls, sun-bleached sign barely holding onto its last letters, Hillstone Inn. I don't remember telling the driver to stop. I just remember standing there on the sidewalk, staring at it. My heart dropped. It wasn't just similar, it was the place. The shape, the outline, the broken neon. I knew it before I even stepped inside. I walked through the lobby, dust fell oating like it had nowhere else to be. No one was at the desk. No voices, no te ves. Just that soft buildings get when they're technically still alive. My footsteps echoed, like the place was waiting. I walked the halls. My body knew where to go before my mind caught up. Past the vending machines, around the corner where the FL oral wallpaper curled like dead leaves, and there it was. Room 209. The numbers, the door, everything exactly as I'd seen it. My breath caught in my throat. It felt like standing at the edge of a cliff and knowing something waited at the bottom. I raised my hand to the doorknob. But the moment my fingers brushed it, something changed. The hallway lights dimmed, the hum stopped, and a pressure filled the air, like I'd stepped underwater. I opened the door. Inside was not a hotel room. It was something else. Something between a hospital room and a child's bedroom. The floor was white tile, cold and gleaming. A single bed in the center. Machines lining the walls, their cords reaching toward the bed like metal veins. A photo on the nightstand of me. A younger me, maybe 5 or 6, missing teeth and smiling. I stepped inside. I heard voices not out loud, but in that deep part of your brain that can't be shut off. A nurse asking for more time. My mom saying my name over and over. A doctor whispering, "We're losing him." I looked down at the bed. There was a body there. My body. And then I understood. I never really came back. Not fully. Some part of me was still here, in this room, in this between. My brain had crafted this hotel, this purgatory, as a place to wait. A limbo shaped like memory and fear and unprocessed grief. Room 209 wasn't just a door. It was a question, do I want to go back? But I hadn't chosen yet. I took a step back. The machines beeped. My heartbeat, my real heartbeat, echoing faintly from the walls. I felt it tug at me, like a current pulling someone back to shore. I closed the door. I woke up in the hospital again. But this time, the air felt different. Lighter, like something had been decided. No one believed me when I told them about the hotel. Not the nurses. Not the doctors. But my mom looked at me a little longer than usual, like she wanted to say something. Like she knew something she couldn't explain. The dream stopped after that. But sometimes when I close my eyes, I still see the hallway. Still smell the damp carpet. Still hear the creak of the door. And I wonder, what would have happened if I had stayed in room 209? Story 3, I took the night shift at the old community radio station because I needed something quiet. Something simple. Just a few buttons, some playlists, maybe the occasional late-night caller with a theory about aliens or the government. That's how it usually went. Empty hallways, flickering fluorescent lights, and that comforting hum of outdated equipment. Predictable. Peaceful. What I didn't expect was my father's voice. He disappeared when I was 10. No body, no note. Just a rusted-out pickup found near the river, keys still in the ignition. The authorities ruled it a likely drowning. My mother refused to accept it. For years, she kept a suitcase packed by the door just in case he came home. I buried the idea of him deep, where old memories turn soft and blurry. Where they can't reach you. That night, it was a Tuesday. I remember because the weather was awful and my only listener texted in a complaint about static during a Pink Floyd song. I was alone, half asleep in a control room, flipping through the dusty archive shelf when I saw a cassette labeled only 8/14/93. The handwriting looked familiar. Like mine, but shakier. I had no idea why we even had a tape deck anymore, but I popped in out of curiosity. A hiss filled the air. Then silence. Then the voice. If you're hearing this, then maybe you found the truth. Maybe it's time. I froze. The voice was cracked older but unmistakable. My father's. He spoke about places we used to visit. Specific details no one else could have known. My missing comic books. The way he'd sneak me orange popsicles before dinner when Mom wasn't looking. The Phi RST time he let me steer the truck, my hands barely reaching the wheel. I yanked the tape out. My hands were shaking. I convinced myself it was a prank. Some twisted archival joke by an ex-employee. That night, I took the tape home. I couldn't sleep. I played it again, headphones on, volume low. But the strangest thing was, the tape didn't end. Every time I played it, it was slightly different. New words. New memories. As if it was updating. The next night, I returned to the station early before my shift. The tape was gone from my bag. But when I turned on the console, the broadcast was already live. And my father's voice was playing. The station log said the broadcast had started at 3:09 a.m., the exact time he had disappeared 12 years ago. From then on, it happened every night. At exactly 3:09, the console would switch on, no matter what I was doing, no matter what was scheduled, and the voice would return. Sometimes it was stories, sometimes warnings. Once it said, "Don't go near the river again." Another night, you left the window open. Someone was watching. Each time, the voice sounded more aware. Like it wasn't just a recording, but a conversation. I stopped telling people. I'd already tried. My boss laughed. My friend at the university chalked it up to grief. Even my therapist just scribbled something about dissociative episodes and upped my dosage. But I knew that voice. And then came the night I answered the phone. It rang once. Just once. And I picked up. "Don't be afraid, son," the voice said. "You were always meant to find me here." I dropped the phone. It landed on the desk, still buzzing with static. I stayed home the next day. Didn't sleep. Didn't eat. I dug through boxes of old family recordings, anything to compare the voices. But the more I listened, the more I noticed something that made my skin crawl. It wasn't just that the voice sounded like my father. It sounded like me. Not exactly. Slower. Deeper. But the cadence, the breathing, even the little stutter I used to have when I was nervous, it was there. And once I heard it, I couldn't unhear it. I played the recordings again, using software from a university. Ran them through filters. Analyzed the waveforms. My suspicion became certainty. It was my voice. I had been recording them. But how? When? Why would I? Then I found the tapes. Hidden in the supply closet behind the station's server. Dozens of them. Some dated. Some blank. All of them in my handwriting. I played one at random. You'll try to forget this, but it always comes back. You always come back. I don't remember recording them, but they were mine. That night, I returned to the station and sat in the control room, waiting for 3:09. When the lights dimmed and the console flickered on, I didn't flinch. "Why are you doing this?" I asked the air. And the voice answered, "Because part of you never stopped searching. Because this is the only way you'll believe it." Believe what? That you're still grieving. That you never let go. That you created me. I closed my eyes. The hum of the radio softened. The air felt still. When I opened them again, the clock read 3:20. The console was off. The next morning, I deleted the archives. Burned the tapes. Resigned from the station. But sometimes late at night, I'll turn the dial on my kitchen radio. And I swear, just for a moment, I hear my own voice, saying something I've never said, remembering something I don't recall. Sometimes I wonder if part of me is still broadcasting, waiting to be heard. The loss of a loved one often affects us in a terrible way. How did you cope with something like this? Was it so difficult for you?